What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Platinum Podcast. Welcome to episode 9 of the Platinum Podcast, where we're going to talk about all things gaming, all things PlayStation, and all things trophies. I am joined by, as always, Joel, aka GuyFarruski on YouTube. How's it going, man?
Well, good.
Brilliant. And as you can probably tell, as a viewer with a very keen eye, there is 4 of us on this podcast, as we are joined by Nathan and Dan from Platchums. How's it going, guys? Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, it's great. My name's Dan.
I'm Nathan. Thanks for having us here. It's a pleasure.
So these guys, I've asked them to come on because they are fellow trophy hunters, and we're going to have a very freeing conversation today. We're going to try and make it flow as best as we can. This is the first time we've had 4 on, and it's already proven to be quite chaotic in the run-up to this. So I think we'll just go with the flow, and I hope you do as well. What we'll do is we'll start as we always do. So we'll talk about what games we've been playing, and we'll progress from there. So Joel, what about yourself? I already know what you've been playing, but I'm sure the viewers don't.
I bet they do. It's been nothing but that talk. It's Persona 5. I've been playing Persona 5 for the last 3 weeks, non-stop, and it's killing me. You can see the hair, the bags under the eyes. It's rough. It's rough. It's a hell of a dedication.
Being crushed.
God damn it!
By Persona 5.
I've done like the first third of the game, and I'm now almost finished editing the first third of the game, and I've still got like a good 60 hours left of just the game, and then I've got like another maybe 60 hours of editing. So good times.
Just for those who are watching who may have just not know this properly, Joel thought it'd be a really good idea to make a trophy review, a trophy guide on how to earn the platinum trophy for Persona 5. Bear in mind, Persona 5 is like a $200 to $300 platinum trophy. He thought he'd take it upon himself to play this game, finish it, and then edit a video of all that footage. So he's clearly a lunatic. So props to you for that, Joel.
Thank you.
I also like to live dangerously.
Live life on the edge. So what about you, Nathan?
Yeah,
what have you been playing this week? Oh, sorry, Dan. We'll go with Nathan now since he's already butt in.
Grand. Well, I had a bit of a tough week in regards to playing games because I was playing Days Gone, Dark Souls Remastered, and Tony Hawk's 1 and 2. And I needed to completely reset my PS4. It wouldn't turn on, and the auto upload for some reason didn't work, so I lost 3 weeks of progress on each one of those games. And they're 3 heavy games. Days Gone is long. I like it, but it's long. Dark Souls is Dark Souls. And Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, you probably heard about the grind, forgive the pun, the grind to level 100. So I lost all the progress on that and I had to start again. So I've had a tough week where I honestly thought, that's it, I'm done. I retire. Like, I don't care anymore. I just don't care. And I put the controller down and I lit a candle beside it and I thought, that's the end of my trophy hunting career. But after I calmed down and after Dan was giving me a bit of a motivational talk, because it's like, we can't really have Platchums if one of you don't care about trophies. That doesn't really make sense.
No.
So I timidly restarted Tony Hawk's two nights ago. And I'm back up to like level 48, I think, but that was a bit of a morale drainer.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Nice and a happy start to this particular podcast. You know, a man cries over lost save files.
It's not just one game either. It's 3.
3 awful games to lose progress in. Like
Wow.
Days Gone, you know, I don't know if you guys have played it, but
I have.
you know, it can be a bit slow and monotonous. And I think I lost maybe like 15 to 20 hours of progress because the last upload on the cloud was like from 3 weeks before, and I'm like, I don't have the heart. I can't listen to Deacon like yell at himself anymore, because you know when he's like climbing up a ladder and he goes and he's just yelling like a madman. I'm like, I can't listen to it anymore. I'm sorry, Deacon, I don't care.
I mean,
I want to play this game more now just to watch him ramble on a ladder.
I've told you, Joel, it's not the greatest of games, and I feel like if I'd lost my save file, I would have been like looking for a belt to just start creating any sort of noose I could and just considering it.
No, you wouldn't.
It sounds like Dan's really been the hero of your week and motivated you to continue.
he was my platinum. You know, like in Platinum Anonymous, he was my sponsor.
Yes.
I feel like he really, you know, got me off that bridge. He's like, it's all right, man. We can reclaim those lost items in Dark Souls. You know, we can get through Deacon's rambling and his madness, and we can get you back to where you were. So that's been my week and what I'm still kind of playing at the moment. So,
Amen.
over
Amen.
to you,
On that
Dan.
very depressing. Yes, Dan. Hopefully happier.
Well, yeah, I just recently enough I finished Persona 4 and Golden on the Vita, and then I went out and I just got Persona 5 straight away because I loved Persona 4 so much. So I couldn't get enough of it. So I'm really excited to start it. But like you said, it's such a mammoth of a game.
Oh.
I'm kind of intimidated by it. You
Yeah.
know, I have Royal, so it's seems to be a little bit easier than the base version, at least from a trophy perspective.
It's also longer though.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah,
The game.
What?
Yeah.
that doesn't bother me at all. Though.
Okay.
I don't mind if it's longer, but if the trophies are easier, that's a plus.
That's fair.
definitely. So I haven't started yet, but it's in its wrapper, waiting to come out when I have the courage. I recently just finished Days Gone myself. Me and Nathan started about the same time, but I just powered through it, and I didn't have any technical difficulties.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. But like I was saying to him, you know, it's actually it seems like a really long game, but at the start it's very slow and it gets progressively better and better. So I think if you went in it and started it fresh, it wouldn't take you very long to fly through the missions, skipping cutscenes and things like that. But I think it's a game that does shine in its like latter half, when you kind of get all your skills and weapons and stuff. But yeah, I was surprised. I enjoyed it a lot more than I started to when I first played it. I wasn't feeling it, you know, at all.
Yeah, it gets better as it goes on. Definitely.
I want to play it now.
Like a
I kind
fine
of went off it a
wine.
bit because of how you're about to destroy it again, aren't you? Like as soon as I want to play it again, you're like Lewis comes in and is like, no, don't. It's horrible. Don't.
I think that it's in terms of, I think it reaches its peak at about, say it's a 40-hour story. It reaches its peak at like 25, and then it sort of goes downhill if you ask me. But the challenge mode, have both of you finished the challenge mode, the extra DLC? Of yours attempted?
I did one of the challenges and I got a bronze. Thank you guys, thank you. And I was like, this is gonna be tough. Like it you know, compared to the base game, it's one of those games for easy plat, annoying DLC.
The
Like
DLC is
that's
really
like
hard.
the prime. Yeah, that's like a prime example of a game that if like I'm a bit more of a completionist, so like I always keep an eye on the DLC. And also the new game plus on top of that, but the challenge mode looks like it might be quite challenging. I don't know if that's why they call it
Surprisingly.
that, but
I
yeah,
am.
surprisingly.
I'm such an average gamer. I always say this. It was my most played game of last year at 164 hours, I think. Took us like 60 hours to get the platinum. Well, almost, yeah, pretty much the platinum. Then like 20 hours for New Game Plus, and then the rest of the time was spent on those challenge modes. They are brutal. They're so hard.
Oof.
So the driving ones in particular are really hard. So when you do them, then we can revisit the conversation and we can talk about whether or not
if.
Days Gone is a good game. Yeah.
Let me just
I mean,
say.
I did them.
Let me just
I
say.
did the start. Yeah.
Let me just say before we go ahead, those 160 hours could have been put into Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, I know. We're going to talk about
Just
that later
saying.
on, actually. So we'll
Saying.
we'll talk about that later on.
We'll circle back.
Dan?
We'll circle
We'll
back.
circle back. It's going to be, you know.
What a great host. What a great host.
No, I did I did all of the challenges once, and I got either a silver or a bronze or whatever in each one, but that was it. And I was like, oh, I don't know, can I put the effort in? So hats off to you getting them, man. They're tough.
Yeah, fair play.
I think that there's like 4
Confetti,
horde ones.
confetti.
Yeah. There's 4 horde ones, I think, and they're all not too bad. They're just practice, and you learn, like you watch people online do it, and you figure out how it's done. And then there's the camp ones where you attack camps, which again are pretty easy. It's just the driving ones because it's just skill based, and you have to like go for I think about 2.5 minutes, and you have to like get kills, like get certain time like boosts and stuff. It's just very soul destroying. It's sort of like I imagine
The driving is quite buttery as well.
Yeah,
I like
the
the
driving's
driving.
odd. It's
it's just not
it's
good races.
sometimes it feels like he's on a sheet of ice.
Yeah, he's definitely.
It's the best way I can describe it. Like, you feel like you're just, it's like 98% control.
But is that not how a motorbike would feel? Like, that's how I feel. That's how like those type of bikes would feel off road, because they're not off road bikes.
Well, speaking as an avid motorcyclist and badass, I don't know.
Oh man! How about you? Joe, you ride motorbikes. Do you think it's going to be accurate or not? You haven't seen the game, I suppose. You haven't even seen the game.
Yeah, I've not. One, I've not played it. One, I've not played the game. But two, I ride motorcycles like on the road, not off road. So I don't know. Like on the road, then you should have like full control, unless you're riding on like ice or snow.
I also have a bicycle. Back points.
That's true. I have a bicycle that I put a bottle in the back. So when you like ride a bike and they make that like noise like a motorbike. Basically, that's just like Deacon's bike.
I just attach Diet Coke and Mentos at the back of my bicycle and just act like it's nitrous oxide.
Yeah.
That's smart ingenuity. Right.
I just pictured that in my head and it's great.
We're going to move on, and I've actually just remembered that I actually wanted to ask you both to talk about Platchums. So I just wanted to kind of know about what it is, how you describe the channel that you both work control, and what made you create it.
Dan?
Yeah, it's a good question. We were Nathan, he's been making videos for a long time, and they've always been really good quality. I always really like watching his videos. So
I paid him to say that.
Me. Yeah. Paid sponsorship at the bottom.
The $5.
But I suppose because I spend so much time playing games and platinum in games for absolutely zero reason, I was like, I have to do something that kind of validates this a little bit. I have to do some kind of creative outlet. So one day we were just chatting and I said I was thinking of making like trophy review videos or something about the games from a trophy perspective. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then we decided we'd start off with kind of chat videos and then and just see where it goes. So there was no super planning behind it. It was pretty spontaneous. I think we just said, let's do a video. And then like the next day we recorded it. And that was kind of
it went from a concept to a channel in about 2 days. Really, and that was only 2 months ago. Really, we just said, look, do you want to just like come over and just record something where we talk about platinums or trophies, and that's where we just got the first 2 plat chats, and anything after that is literally just spontaneous kind of ideas. Like say like the last video where I'm doing like a terrible stand-up comedy thing, I recorded that in 10 minutes just to have something. So there's no real plan with it, but I enjoy making the videos, obviously with Dan, because we both kind of started trophy hunting around the same time, and I know him for so long, and I think just as Dan said, like we spend so much time obtaining these trophies for, like, you could argue the reason, but ultimately it's just like to say, yeah, did that, and then you move on to the next game. So I thought to maybe put that expertise to some kind of use, or at least have a bit of fun with it. And I think that's pretty much it. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, there's no plan. We're still obviously fledgling, but
so professional.
Yeah, no, it's just a way for us to chat about it. Exactly like this. Just chat about something that we're pretty passionate about. That's quite niche. Which is, again, probably what led us to your channel as well, because, it was kind of similar to the kind of concept that we had in our head, and it's not something that is very popular on YouTube at the minute. Like there's not that many channels focusing on it.
It's a niche within a niche. Like the gaming community has various niches, but like the proper trophy hunting, or by proxy the achievement hunting, like that's like it, as I said, just a niche within a niche. Like there's not so many channels. You've got your guide channels, you've got a few channels like that, but I struggle to kind of find too many channels that actually have maybe like a conversation about it, and maybe something a bit more lighthearted, maybe something a bit more humorous. So I thought that was like something that kind of a gap that maybe we could fill, where we just sit down, two guys who collect trophies and just talk about what that entails, and that's essentially the motivation behind it.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, do you know what? That's actually really interesting because I would say I felt quite similarly when I started. Like, I thought I wanted to make a YouTube channel, and I thought I don't want to really make guides. I just didn't think it would really bring me much in like enjoyment from doing it. And I remember thinking, I like the videos when you see people just talk about it, and I just felt that there never was enough of videos of people just like having chats or making videos by themselves, just about like talking about why we do things, why tips on how to collect trophies, talking about them, and like having like you said, like nice, easy, like calming conversations about it. And it is definitely a niche within a niche. I think everyone here has all got a channel, and I think we all sort of think we game so much that we kind of want to take it further, because in a way it sort of justifies it a little bit. Because I think we'll come on to trophy hunting now, because it's a question of like what really like sort of makes you want to keep doing it, because you're right, it's sort of that personal sense of achievement. But I've looked at your account, Nathan, and we've had a little chat before the podcast got going about Platinums, because surprisingly that's what we were talking about. And
bizarre.
Nathan's bizarre. Who would have thought that? And you both have accounts dating back to 2009. Am I right? Like
mine's 2008.
2008.
You didn't do your research, Lewis.
I know. I just skimmed, you know. I just half-assed it. And I don't put much effort into too much, you know.
Yeah.
So you guys have both pretty much started when you started trophy hunting when it sort of very, very much started, didn't you both?
Yeah, I think it was Uncharted Drake's Fortune. That was the first game that I noticed. I had installed like a patch, and this was back in the day where like a 30 meg download would have killed my dial-up internet. And I always just went for the 100% in games on PS1 and PS2. That's just something I did because I never bought too many games, so I just played the hell out of the games that I did buy.
Child problems,
I know. But that's a whole other podcast. But with Uncharted, I'm just, that's kind of funny, because I remember playing it and just hearing the bling, and I'm like, okay, what the hell is that? And I kind of got the platinum by accident, because I was just following like the kind of checklist within the game. And when I saw the kind of platinum, I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. But it wasn't until I played another game, I think it was Far Cry 2, that I noticed, oh, every game has this. And it kind of clicked that I'm like, okay, so this is like a list of all your games and things that you can do within those games, and you get like a cool little trophy at the end of it. That's amazing. And that was kind of, I just went from there, because it was kind of like a natural progression of how I play games anyway. I always try to get the 100%. I always try to like find all the collectibles, just do all that stuff. So it was just a very natural extension of that. And I think that's why I kind of gravitated towards it in the way I did. And you, Dan?
Before we move on, I want to intervene with a few things. Firstly, when your trophies came in 2009, like for those who like always forget how far technology's advanced. Back in 2008, you know, you didn't have a phone to Google these things. You couldn't be in like, what is this trophy system? Like, it's like you can't just pick up your phone and be like, I'll just find this out. It was literally would have been the most bamboozling, confusing thing. Like, your PlayStation has totally changed. Why are all these things popping up? Do I have a virus or something? Very confusing times, I imagine.
Yeah, no, it is funny looking back when you think about it like that, yeah.
The first game I played with the trophy system, I think, was PES 2008. And I thought the trophies, when I saw the trophy on my dashboard, I thought, this must be, you know, a trophy like, I thought it was like from PES, like if you win the World Cup, you get a trophy. And so I was playing and I was saying to my mate, oh yeah, I've got this trophy for the World Cup. And then I went to the dashboard to my trophies and I was like, where's it gone? Like, you know, the trophy was actually in PES, not from the game. And that's when it clicked. But I didn't.
This was in 2019, wasn't it, Joel?
No.
Joel only realised what trophies were last year, I'm sure.
This was last week on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Can you?
Like,
this was meant to be. This was meant to be private. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't expose me like that. I'd appreciate that.
I was going to say something else, but I've forgotten. It's gone. We'll just move on. Dan. Well, let's talk. Dan, what's your experience of trophy hunting?
I think myself and Nathan, we were in a band. We were like so super cool. and because we were friends from college, so I used to go over, and because he was the drummer, so he couldn't go anywhere. We just had to go to wherever he was.
I refuse to move.
Yeah, it just would have been logistically a nightmare. So I went over to his house, and we played music together, and we kind of knew we had a mutual love for gaming anyway. But then Nathan was showing me one day, he was like, yeah, you can get trophies and you can get platinums, and it was like a light bulb. It was like, bing, oh my goodness, platinums sounds amazing. Because I was always aware of like achievements on the Xbox and things like that, on the 360, which I always thought was a great idea, and I would have loved that to put it on the PlayStation, because similarly to Nathan, I was always big on kind of fully completing a game. I always loved RPGs and things like that. So that's the name of the game. It's always just about going for that 100% late game kind of content over, grinding and leveling. So that was exactly up my alley anyway. So yeah, he showed it to me, and then I was like, okay, now I have to get more platinums than Nathan. So I went out and
What you've done.
I was, no games were easy back then, really.
Yeah,
like, they weren't
yeah.
like super easy, but they were like, there were some easier ones. So I immediately made a beeline for the ones that I knew I could get platinums in, because like Nathan was going after Far Cry 2 and Fight Night Round 4 and all these crazy ones. Like, and I was like, okay, no, that's not for me. I think it's more the more kind of mainstream stuff for myself. But
So did you play?
It was just a match made in heaven.
Did you play Terminator Salvation then or not?
No, I didn't. See, because
My flatmate did. Yeah. Ray.
The thing about us was that we had like a bit of a trophy rivalry, because we didn't want to make a fool out of ourselves. By saying like, oh well, I went out and I got this one, just to get ahead. So we had to have like an air of
Respectability.
Yeah, prestige.
Yeah, it was.
Can I just say, we're like the lamest band ever. It's like, during band practice, like, hey, do you want to be cool? Do you want to be cool, man? Have you heard about Platinums?
Yeah. No, it was just the perfect thing for me to hear, because I loved the idea of it anyway. So it set me on a dark path.
Nathan, you've set him on a dark
Unfortunately.
path. And
I did. Band practice changed us all, man.
Yeah,
Changed
we
us all.
immediately gave up music.
you got into some
we
dark
just
stuff during band practice.
Yeah, and we briefly were a trophy band where we just sang about trophies.
Just
and-
played like themes from games.
Yeah.
Got 4 plats in 4 days now.
So
But yeah, no, we were big into like the trophy websites as well, and there was a lot of stigma around Terminator Salvation at the
Yeah.
time. So
There still
I
is,
was a
but
moderator, yeah.
yeah,
Whoa.
so we stayed away. Yeah, I wrote reviews for the website, for one of them, for PS Trophies.
PS3trophies.com, yeah, we
Yeah,
both wrote
yeah.
reviews for that.
So that was it was kind of trying to make sure the list looked good as well. There used to be a big focus on, like the old school social media where you'd like write like blurbs about
On Bebo
yourself
and stuff.
things like that. Yeah, like Bebo and MySpace. Well, there was an element of that on the trophy websites too, and I remember spending a ridiculous amount of time like getting the banner from all the games that I've ever played
Yeah.
and having them there, and
Wow.
the trophy, and then giving my opinion on like the time and everything about the trophies. So yeah, it was avoid Hannah Montana and Terminator Salvation at the time.
Both games both games that Lewis has.
Say that again.
Both games that Lewis has.
Oh, I'm not Hannah Montana. Come on, I draw the line.
Yes.
But it's changed a lot now, because
It has,
these
yeah.
days, like Terminator Salvation, because you have to play it on the hardest difficulty. So like that's a respectable game in comparison
It is.
to a lot of games
It's-
now. Like
It's
yeah.
not that
still-
hard though, is it really?
No, I suppose it's a 6-hour platinum, so a lot of people would not class that as an easy game anymore. A lot of people think easy games take
No.
under 2 hours, don't they? It has changed massively. It's not even like it's not even what it was 5 years ago, let
So-
alone when you guys started.
Even 4 or 5. I mean, like as Dan said, like when the trophies first came in, like we signed like 80-year-olds sitting on the balcony reminiscing about the old days.
Well,
But
Jimmy.
it was, well, Jimmy, no, Jimmy, but with the games on the PS3, like I feel like there's certain type of lists that don't really exist anymore. Like particularly like in those days, remember it was like you need to be like the best in the world, with like Fight Night Grind 4, like Killzone 2 you need to be in the top 1%, or like Lost Planet 2. I don't remember seeing any lists like that in the past couple of years. Maybe that's just out of ignorance of not knowing of any, but they just weren't as kind of common. And like like it used to be a thing where like games like Flower never got a plat, or like shorter games.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I don't see the consistency with the trophy system in like when you kind of see how much has changed since those kind of original days. But
I think you're right. I think this hasn't, going off my knowledge, I imagine all four of us have quite a strong knowledge of more mainstream games now. Like maybe 10 years ago, the mainstream trophies like Killzone were really demanding online trophies, whereas now you just don't get that at all. The probably hardest trophies you really get now online are like racing games. But if you take them out of the equation, the most mainstream AAA games, just the trophy lists aren't difficult at all. Even like Dark Souls now, like Dark Souls and Sekiro and stuff are held as in regard as some of the hardest games. But those lists are probably so much easier than the Fight Night runs and the ones for Killzone, which are actually based purely on like being literally the best.
I disagree.
Ooh.
Go on then.
Go on.
Oh, I don't have an explanation. I just disagree.
I thought you were going to come off with this. What I will say is, Radlakia.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was. Radlakia rocked up over the
only
past
one-
5 years with this massive water gun and literally just watered down the Platinum Trophy tenfold. Like, it's just, you can get like... I found this account. I was going through the leaderboards recently and someone had more Platinum Trophies than me, so I'm like 340. Someone had about 250 Platinum Trophies, right? And they'd started their account 9 months ago. And I remember thinking, like, that is insane. So I went through the list. Like, I do play some of the easier games, but I have AAA games, bigger games in there. And it was literally just someone's made this account to just play Radlakia games, and it was just like, the 6 stacks, the Asian, the European, and the North American accounts. And it was just like, I was thinking, like, it's just, you could have literally only, if you played Red Dead 2, and then Persona 5 and Final Fantasy 15, say, you probably would just finish those 3 games, and the time it's taken you to finish all 300 of these games.
That's crazy.
See,
it's not for me. If it makes them happy,
No.
I'm always like, look, your time, your money, whatever. But that just would not be for me.
No. This is. I think this is why nowadays platinum trophies aren't that impressive.
Yeah.
Because if you don't specify what platinum trophies you have, people are going to assume automatically, oh, you just got easy ones.
Yeah, it's the game that matters more. Like me and Dan were actually talking about this a while ago, that the plat itself, as you said, I don't think it's as important as it was.
It's not.
It's more the game associated with that plat that I look to now, because the platinum used to be like, okay, like they had to do something to get that platinum.
Exactly.
But I think the game is kind of like, in terms of like prestige or whatever,
Yeah.
I think that is more important.
We were talking about
The only problem with that though is that you come off as pretty petty if you were were like trying to explain oh well actually I've just played really good games, it doesn't.
Yeah, my list is more sophisticated than yours.
Yeah.
I say. I think it's.
I agree though. It's just because the dedication that you put in. Let's say like 2 people have 80 platinums and you see one guy who has all easy games, different regions. Maybe let's say he's got 50 games played, but he's only got 80 platinums because he's done the different regions. And then you have another guy with the exact same platinums, exact same score, but he's platinum games like Dark Souls, Red Dead Redemption, hard games. And those 2 get put on the same platform when you're just seeing their accounts side by side. Yeah. And I think that's unfair for the person who's put so much dedication. Although, yes, it is kind of petty as well. But for somebody who's put that much dedication and that many hours, like us 4, who's put dedication and a lot of hours into hard games, it's kind of like disheartening, I think. Seeing somebody else like you, Lewis, who found somebody who's got more platinums than you, and they've just got easy games that they probably got in like a week or two. When you've been doing this for years.
It's platinum steroid abuse is what it is.
It literally is. It's like it's pay to win as well.
Good point. Yeah, it is. It's definitely pay to win. I think probably one of the big issues there is that maybe something that happened more recently where they did change the trophy levels. You know, when that came out, one of the things that I was really hoping for was that they would have maybe some type of weight on rarity.
Yes.
Because if there was, you know, for example, if like a platinum that was 0.1% rarity, for example, was worth 10 times more than a platinum that had, you know, 10% rarity, for example, some kind of equation or some kind of weighting on rarity, that would have cleared up that a lot. But then again, it's probably, that would be Sony shooting themselves in the foot, because there are people who are spending like crazy amounts of money on these games.
Yeah. Well, I said to Joel a while ago, firstly, I think as well, this thing we're talking about is so niche. Like, we are so niche that like we never really get, Sony don't appeal to us. They don't try and appeal to us because, you know, for the, I don't know, 20, 30,000 trophy hunters, there's 110 million people who have a PlayStation 4. So it's kind of never going to be in our favour. But I've lost my trail of thought now. Oh, no, I remember, it's come back. It comes back regularly. I'm like pre-dementia. It's, I was saying that really we should do to eliminate early, like, easy platinum trophies is, but when you buy a game on Steam, you get like a refund window. I'm not sure how long it is. I think it's about an hour. So if you don't like the game, you can return it.
2 hours.
2 hours, isn't it?
I feel like the PlayStation should really do that, because I think it gives power back to consumers, but it stops people making these easy games that can be finished in under 2 hours, because the people could then finish them and return them straight away. So that would like eliminate the problem like instantly. But
one thing I heard about those Rat Lake games though is that oftentimes they're actually quite wholesome in a way that it gives developers who would just be literally making this as like a side project, trying to put themselves through school and stuff, just a quick kind of cash revenue stream, you know. So a lot of the developers for these games, because you know most of them are they're pretty good games, you know what I mean. They may be very short, but they're not completely rubbish. There is definitely some standard, some kind of, you know, quality control that's going on with Sony before, because any of the ones that I've had experience with playing, they're all competent games. You know, it's not like Steam where, you know, there's just garbage and you have to sift through the garbage. Like, most of the stuff that does get on the store is pretty good, you know. It's even if it is a 15-20 minute game, you know, the quality of that is generally pretty good.
That's like a very valid point. I think that the idea that, you know, the people who are making these games, like, they could potentially go on to work for AAA studios and make really good games, and you're actually giving them the opportunity to make these games themselves in small teams. And as well,
they get a step up,
Yeah, and as well, on the whole, these games are 15 to 20 minute platinums. A lot of them actually are longer games than that, so a lot of these games might be, I don't know, say if they have 200 levels, that's actually about 3 hours, 4 hours, but you only have to play the first 20 minutes for the platinum trophy, so that's Radalakia are coming in, and they're putting those trophies in to appeal to a small niche, but then the whole game's there if you really want it. Not saying many people do, but there's a whole game.
Exactly, no, I always thought that's quite an intelligent marketing ploy. Is if you make the trophies easy, you're going to get, even if it's a niche within a niche within a niche, if you get a couple of hundred people or a couple of thousand people, when you add that up in terms of revenue coming in, you're going to get them in the door, and at least you know that, okay, a certain audience is going to show up for my game, even if it is by means of just getting easy trophies. But that's when a studio could surprise people, you know, and then that gets word of mouth going. We're going like, it's an easy plat, but also like, it's actually a really good game, or the story is fantastic, or there's some great art design. Like, there's so many different elements of what makes a game great. So I think I understand why a small studio might kind of lean into that a little bit, because it's essentially a free audience. If you just make a list accessible, and it's a small niche audience, but at least you're getting some people in the door.
That's a really good point.
I think the audience with this new point system might actually get a lot bigger because of how easy it is to rank up. Like, before, it's not hard to rank up on like the earlier levels, but I think once you reach like once you reach the old level like 10 or 11, you'd have to play quite a lot or get quite a lot of trophies in order to go to like 12 and 13, 14. You'd need to rank up quite a few games. But now you go like 10 levels at a time sometimes by playing one game, because depending on what trophies they have, like silvers and golds, especially these easy ones, because a lot of these easy games, they have the list consists of only golds and silvers, so you are going to rank up faster. And I think it gets addictive. I think that's what it comes down to. It does get addictive when you see your ranking, then you got a mate who's got like a lower ranking than you, or he has a higher ranking, and then you go over and you go, I got a higher ranking than you. And although that's like a friendly banter, internally you're like, this guy just gone over me. Yeah.
Well,
just throw a rock through their window at night. Just going, I'm level 525. Like, who threw this?
Oh, it's Dave. Dave. Go on your PSN list and just go, 525. No, Joe, I think you're so right. And I think actually, for those who don't know, it only takes 60 points of like trophy points per level to move up from level 0 to 99. So basically, a whole Platinum Trophy game now is 1,350 points-ish now instead of 1,200. So pretty much if you were to earn one Radalakia game, one Platinum Trophy, you probably go from like level 0 to level like 25 or 22. So, you could probably be in level 100 with about 5 or 6 Platinum Trophies. So, and you could do that in a day. So it definitely do. I think it's going to encourage new audiences to come in and work harder for those trophies.
Yeah, it's going to take me a while to get used to the new point system, because my cousin, who doesn't hunt trophies at all, when I was like going online, I saw that he's level 225, and I kind of like jumped up. And I'm like, oh,
what is this?
It's just the new point system. Jeez, I'm like, what was Steve-O at this weekend?
He's been going crazy in those Radalakia sales, I tell you.
Yeah.
He's mortgaged his house so he could buy 10,000 Radalakia games.
He bought himself a bundle.
Dastardly bundle. We'll move on to a new topic. This is going really well so far, but I think it's we're getting a bit scared. I think what we'll do is we'll talk about favourite game series. So let's have a little think. I know you haven't had much time. So Joel, could you describe your favourite game series? I know you probably said it before, but I'll give
series. Oh, I don't know. There's so many.
Terminator Salvation.
Well, I do have this framed copy of Terminator Salvation down here, but
yes, you do.
This tattoo on my chest of Terminator Salvation. Christian Bale from the movie's face, just here, like that.
Oh, series. Oh, I don't know. Just one series.
Favorite game or series of game of this genre, say of this of any time, So
come on.
I'll just start. I always start with this. So my favorite game, and this is also ties into one of my favorite childhood memories, was when I was like 16. Me and my friend just like skipped school, and we went to Game Station back in like 2010, and we waited outside until the store opened and went and bought Skyrim. The Skyrim, for me, Elder Scrolls is probably one of my favorite series, and I think Skyrim is probably it is my favorite game of all time because of the fact the game's awesome. Obviously, we don't talk about Bethesda now because we do talk about it all the time, but this is old school Bethesda. This is like OG Bethesda back in the day when they used to make the best games ever.
Solid choice.
I'm still wondering why you said like childhood memory and then you chose Skyrim. Like,
I was 16. I've only got mental.
It's like, bro,
how long ago?
Bro,
was
you were
this?
24.
I'm not 24. Oh, come on. Right, we'll move on. Does anybody have any ideas what a favorite series is? Since Joel is inebriated at the moment.
Mine, I always come back to Metal Gear Solid 3 being my favorite game. And possibly my favorite series. The reason I come back to Metal Gear Solid 3, I think the gameplay is still so incredibly deep, and there's so many great Easter eggs, and also like the story is fantastic. It's kind of a lot more streamlined. I think the weight of having to be a sequel was gone from the series, and it could just focus on being a prequel, and I think that benefited it a lot. And when you see games like, The Last of Us 2, you can go prone and hide in the grass. Man, Snake Eater from 2004, you could do that. This isn't revolutionary. Like Naughty Dog, pat themselves on the back. God, our gameplay is so robust these days. Oh,
I think it is more than that.
And also, just going to use Last of Us Part 2 again, but they're talking, when an enemy gets killed and they shout out, Barry! You killed Barry! Or no, damn it, Sally, no! They did nothing with that, whereas in Metal Gear Solid 3, during the boss fight with the Sorrow, every single enemy that you've killed, in the way you killed them, comes down as a ghost through the river, and that section can either be 15 minutes long or 30 seconds long based on the amount of enemies you've killed. And I'm like, that game was just so damn good, and that's a PS2 game that is 16 years old, and there's a much better narrative and gameplay depth to it than something like The Last of Us Part 2 that's heralded as being, oh my god, you can go prone. So that for me, and also the fact that each game in the series is quite different than the others, I kind of appreciate that. And one of my earliest childhood memories with gaming is playing Metal Gear Solid 1 and going, my god, my footprints are in the snow. The future this is the future, so that's kind of the one I always come back to personally anyway.
I think the whole connection between the Metal Gear Solid 2 pre-release and The Last of Us 2 pre-release mirrors there as well, because
exactly
they did the whole fake out thing. Yeah.
I think The Last of Us 2, side note, they should have not said that Joel and Ellie were in it. They should have just promoted Abby and said this is a new group of characters, new series, everything. And then when people play it, they realise that you can play as Joel and Ellie. I think it would have been a great under the rug Hideo Kojima style switcheroo. Yeah. But that's besides the point. Go on, Dad.
Well, I feel like I want to talk about it now. You mentioned it. I feel like The Last of Us 2 was. I feel like it was the way it was made was always going to be hated by so many people because people just don't like the sort of themes that are in the game. But Naughty Dog, literally, I don't think they could take any sort of criticism about this game. I think they're doing more than patting each other. They're pretty much bowing to each other in the development studios because of how amazing of a game they made. When the reality is maybe not the case. Alrighty, we had a momentary lapse in technical failure due to my 5-year-old laptop basically perishing. So we are going to just try and direct the conversation a little bit, and we're going to move on. Still talking about favorite games, but we're going to give Dan his opportunity to tell us about his favourite series or potentially favourite game of the series.
We were talking about this during our technical issues. It's a really hard one. I'd have to say Final Fantasy because, even though maybe my favourite Final Fantasy isn't my favourite game of all time, it's just the fact that Final Fantasy has been such a steady presence in my life, from when I started all the way to this year. We had the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah,
it's always been there, and I've always just loved every entry in the series. I'd say that with maybe a pinch of salt, but I'm even a defender of the bad ones. From when I first got the PlayStation 1, I had Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 8 and 9, and then all the way up to now. So I definitely say Final Fantasy is my favorite. I was going to be really annoying and say Zelda was my favorite, but that goes against even the concept of our own channel. So
all of our channels.
Censor
that word.
Coming out.
Yeah, that's going. But yeah, no, Final Fantasy definitely. I'd say I'd say Final Fantasy 9 is probably my favorite, or maybe Final Fantasy Tactics. I really love that one too. But yeah, all of the Final Fantasies, I'm super hyped for 16 coming out as well. I'm even a defender of 15. Even the end, I didn't mind.
I liked 15. 15's the only one I've played. I'm so out of. This is the thing. I feel like
that's this why stigma. You like it.
Yeah, I like it. Is it just me, or was there stigma around Final Fantasy? I feel like when I was growing up, I was always told Final Fantasy is for really, really nerdy people, and I felt like I couldn't play it. And then obviously as I got older and I realised that was a load of BS, I started playing it more. But there wasn't really any for the PS4 until 15 came out.
I wouldn't say it's for nerdy people. It's
I don't think that now, but I felt like there was that impression 10 years ago.
10 years ago, it's still that gap between people who like anime and people who don't like anime.
Yeah.
I think that was maybe the gap in Final Fantasy with people who like Final Fantasy and then people who didn't know Final Fantasy. It was that thing with like, oh, what are you playing that for? It's the same with like anime now. Like I get so much crap from people like, oh, why'd you watch cartoons? And it's like, I don't even want to get into it. But I think that's it's the same like scale. I think.
No, I have a confession. Okay, I own Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 12, and I've never played a Final Fantasy game.
Wow.
Final Fantasy 7 Remastered, or the actual PlayStation.
Dan lent me that. His copy is sitting under my PS. Well, not under the PS4, under the TV.
I hope not.
I use it to help ventilate my PS4. That's what I think of the series.
Let me just disrespect
melting.
Dan's favourite series and just put it underneath the PlayStation. It's not even worthy of being on top. It's underneath.
And also with just a hairdryer on top of it as well. No, like, and I've played a lot of RPGs, like Ni no Kuni. I love.
Mm-hmm.
Also, obviously, stuff like Skyrim, even though they're not like JRPGs. Say like Okami is one of my favorite games as well, and I also like Zelda. Not to bring that word up again, but I'm looking forward to playing the remake, and I want to maybe play the originals, like the PS1 versions that are on PS4. So like Final Fantasy 7 and 8, but I just haven't got around to it. I feel like my desire to play it is always it's always put on the back burner, but I will get to it one day.
You do need time. You do need time to play them. They're very long games.
They're big games.
They are very long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's not like you can just pick it up and play it on the weekend. You've got to commit to these games,
definitely.
and they've got such in-depth stories and stuff. And like I found Final Fantasy 15 quite confusing at times. I actually didn't think the ending was too bad. But I think that there's actually the fact you have to watch a movie really before you play the game. Like there's just so much lore it doesn't tell you about. It's sort of like if every game's like that, it's hard to keep track of it all.
I just found the ending a bit rushed.
Yes.
I think if they wanted to do like a time skip, don't do it that big.
Yeah.
And just like that. It was massive. I think it was too long, and the change was too drastic. Especially after like the dungeon before the time skip was cancer. It was horrible. And then they did that huge time skip, and then it's kind of the end. I think they just rushed the end.
Yeah, you're probably
personally,
right.
That's my opinion.
And there's a lot of supplementary material for 15 as well. So if you didn't watch the movie, it makes very little sense.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that, which isn't in the other games as much.
See, hearing this just scares me as someone who's never played it. I hear a movie, and the fact that there's like 15 of
if you
games.
If you like Metal Gear Solid,
that is true.
Like Metal Gear Solid, there's like tons of games. There's like what 8-9 games, including the PSP or PS Vita ones.
Probably,
and the old ones on the NES and SNES.
Yeah, and that's all one. That's all one timeline. Like Final Fantasy series, at least each story is a unique story. Apart from like 10-2 and 13-2 and things like that. It's just a carry on from those. But essentially, every Final Fantasy is a unique story. Yeah. So if you pick one up, you're not going to be like, oh, I need to play the other ones in order to understand this one. No, it's like it's a standalone.
Yeah, so it's like I can't complain, Mr. Metal Gear Solid fan. Like,
exactly.
I'm
talking about convoluted stories.
Not to mention, like Metal Gear Solid 1 is like 3, and then 3 is 1, and
Yeah, it's like Final Fantasy's crazy, but that Metal Gear Solid series, amazing.
Yeah, or the ending of Death Stranding, where it literally is a movie. There's no point.
Oh,
I think just the whole of Death Stranding is a movie.
The Princess Beach thing, I've never been more embarrassed to be playing games.
I played Metal Gear Solid 5, and I feel like, firstly, I sort of noticed now that, like, looking back, there must have been a period in my life where I just didn't pay attention to any stories at all. Like, from, like, 17 to, like, maybe, like, 14 to 19, I must have just had such bad memory of these games. But I thought Metal Gear Solid 5, as someone who'd only played Ground Zero, the game is amazing, but the story is just, it's ridiculous. Like, I just couldn't keep up with it at all.
Why do you pick the worst ones to play in the series?
I don't know. Because I'm just late. I'm late to all these. I don't like going back and playing retro games.
You always pick like
Lewis.
You always pick
let's go over the
rushed ones.
Okay, let's go over Metal Gear Solid history lesson. All right. Let's bring this podcast home. It's going to run for like 17 hours.
Get your book out. Get your annual. Metal Gear Solid Bible. 9,000 pages.
Oh god.
I do agree with you though. The Final Fantasy Metal Gear Solid 5 gameplay was incredible.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story was.
It was virtually non-existent.
Yeah, it was.
Like, compared to the previous games, it was just on the strength of its gameplay, that's what kept me playing. But as a Metal Gear fan, it was a great game, but not a great Metal Gear game.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, that makes you feel better then.
It's like DMC Devil May Cry is a great game, just not a Devil May Cry great game.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair play. Right, let's move on because we've talked for so long about nothing. It's been a pleasure to have you both on, though. I would like to ask you this question. So me and Joel, if you already watched the podcast, you know what me and Joel are doing, but are both of you getting a PlayStation 5 at launch? Yes or no?
I am. Yes.
You are.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Okay, that's interesting. So Dan, do you want to explain why you are getting one? It might be quite obvious, but...
Yeah, I'm just a child when it comes to these things. I'm like, I have to be there in line waiting for it. I was really disappointed when I found out we were getting it a week after the US.
No, yeah.
Super disappointed. Because that'll be a week there when I'm just like looking at everyone doing unboxings and stuff. But no, yeah, I didn't get the PS3 at launch, but I got the PS2 at launch and the PS4 at launch. PS1 was just, maybe my dad brought it home one day, so that was a bit of a different situation. And the PS3, I was like starting college and stuff, so I was like, it was like the dark age period of my PlayStation life. But then I quickly got back into PlayStation. Yeah, I'm super excited. I've been following it, the whole PS4 generation, just any news of PS5. I don't mind if there's very few games. Thankfully, Demon Souls is there, so I'm super excited for that.
What launch titles are you going to buy?
Say that again, sorry?
What launch titles are you going to buy?
I think I've just pre-ordered Demon Souls at the minute, so we'll see how long that gets me. And then I might get Miles Morales, or I'll see. I haven't been much of an Assassin's Creed fan for a few years. Last one I played was Black Flag, actually, when the PS4 came out. So I'm not sure. Will I get that? Will I get Valhalla?
I would recommend you get Valhalla if you've not played the other two, because it's completely different. Like, what you're going to experience is probably what I experienced when I played Origins, because it doesn't feel like Assassin's Creed anymore. Obviously, if you play Origins and then you play Odyssey afterwards, it's going to feel like Assassin's Creed. It's going to feel like Origins when you play Odyssey, but because you haven't played those two like gameplay changing games, I'd recommend you play Valhalla. You'll probably be like pleasantly surprised. Did you like The Witcher?
Yeah, I think I agree. From what I've seen of Origins and Odyssey, maybe what put me off them was more that they just looked so massive, and there wasn't anything hugely driving me towards them. But I can definitely appreciate that they look like new games, or new style of games. Yeah. So that's very encouraging to hear, because I'd say I will be looking for like a big game to play with the PS5, so that'll be a good run for when Demon Souls is finished, because I'll fly through Demon Souls.
I'm going to kind of disagree.
That confidence.
I think Ubisoft, I'm not the biggest fan of them. I think the Assassin's Creed franchise has gone downhill ever since like probably Black Flag, and I think that it probably will be worth buying, but it's probably not worth buying at launch, because I think it's going to be buggy. You don't know how hard the trophies are going to be, and it looks very much like a PlayStation 4 game, and even with the latest trailer they've just shown last week, or this week, it still looks like a PlayStation 4 game. I kind of feel like you're not going to get the full PlayStation 5 experience with this game. So I think that's my issue with Valhalla. I think as well, I think it's unfair to compare it to Witcher, because it will not be like Witcher, and it'll be like the side quests will just be mundane and repetitive, and it'll probably be a 100-hour platinum trophy, but it's not like Witcher where it's 200 hours of pretty much really great, maybe 50 hours of grinding in a 100-hour game, whereas Valhalla might be 50 hours of grinding in a 100-hour game.
I wasn't saying it was as good as Witcher.
I'm saying comparing it.
I was just saying.
For the record, sir.
It's more Witcher style than it is Assassin's Creed style. If you're gonna put like Valhalla in between the old Assassin's Creeds and between the Witcher. Style-wise, it's more Witcher style than it is the old Assassin's Creeds.
I'm just skeptical.
That's what I was getting at.
I think
Yeah.
2020.
No, I appreciate that you're because I'd be like you. I'm not Lewis. I'm not like big into those kind of Ubisoft games. Like actually, I can't remember the last Ubisoft game I played. I suppose it was maybe Far Cry 3. And that was on the PS3. So it's been a while since I've actually played a Ubisoft game because I've never had much of an interest in Watch Dogs or Assassin's Creed since Black Flag. Like I really enjoyed Black Flag, but then the next game that came out, it just didn't like wow me at all. I liked
Syndicate.
Syndicate. Yeah,
I feel like
that was the super buggy one, wasn't it?
I feel like Black Flag was sort of like when Black Flag came out, it was a very popular type of game, genre of game, like this open world exploration game. That was sort of like the peak, and then the gaming industry has changed so much. Except Ubisoft games, Ubisoft are still the same as they were 2013. And not only does it make the games worse, it actually holds back gaming because it means that we can't, because they're one of the biggest companies and they keep making these map clearing games, and it's like, come on, make something different. We want something.
I'm still waiting for another Rayman to come out.
Or a Splinter Cell.
I would get comfortable, man. It's going to be a long time.
That little after you've got Joe will be properly grey by the time that comes out.
to bring it back, though, yeah, I had to get the PlayStation 5 release day. I've been I've had the money put aside for a long time. I was like, I'm getting it day one, and that's it. So we'll see. I've still got a 1080p TV, so we'll see. I don't know, is it completely necessary, but and I've got Demon Souls already, but no, I'm super excited to get it.
I feel like 4K is definitely a necessity for PS5.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, I do too. I'm gonna have to invest and upgrade. It's just I've got I play on a 22-inch monitor at the minute because my kids just like tap the TV, and stuff. So I don't play in the sitting room anymore.
Wise.
It's just in my office. Yeah. So, but yeah, I definitely have to upgrade to 4K.
So Nathan, what about yourself? I mean, I'm glad you brought that back, Dan, because to be honest, I'd actually forgotten about what we were talking about. So anyway,
Very professional, Dan.
Very well.
We at the Platchums,
nothing but professional.
Love our professionalism. But with the PS5 for me, I think there's two reasons. One, I'm a cheapskate. And I always think that with the console launch, you're essentially kind of like a beta tester in a way. Like a lot of features come later. And if you wait, there is the possibility of you getting it cheaper, but also you get the back catalogue a chance to kind of grow and develop. So by the time I get it, like I'm not going to wait an obscene amount of time, but I'd say at least 6 months to a year.
Same.
And just any great games at launch will then be reduced in price. So if you're missing out, say like Spider-Man, Miles Morales, or Demon Souls, like two games I definitely know I'm going to get, I'll probably get them cheaper on top of any other great newer games that are going to be released. And second of all, I'm more than content with my PS4. There's a lot of games that I still have to play. Ghost of Tsushima, Deus Ex Mankind Divided has been installed on my PlayStation for about 2 years. Like I'm perfectly happy just enjoying just the kind of the great games that are still on the PS4, and like I'll probably be trying to platinum Red Dead until I'm 85 years of age.
Same.
But I mean, like there's just a lot of good games that I still have missed out on, so I don't feel like the impulse to make the leap to the next generation for that reason mainly, but also just because just being frugal and practical, it gives the console time to iron out the creases and let the catalog grow. So that's kind of my reasoning behind it.
To zone in on a really good point that you made there is if I look back at my trophy list for the PS4, just when it came out, like 2013, you can see my desperation for games there, because I was playing games that I'd like never play normally. It was I spent a lot of time on Don't Starve. I played Contrast. I played Resogun, which was great, but it wouldn't have been maybe the kind of game I would have played myself normally because of exactly that. There was so little that came out with the PS4 at launch. So it's definitely wise, I think, for a lot of people to just hold off.
But on that,
but like me, I'm like a kid at Christmas, So.
But see, on that, the thing about that is now the entire backlog, the entire catalog of PlayStation 4 is now playable on PlayStation 5. So if you were to buy a PlayStation 5 and not buy a game, you could play every PlayStation 4 game, and a lot of them are getting significantly improved. So all the AAA games, Ghost of Tsushima, for example, Last of Us Part 2, the big launches of this year will look so much better on the PlayStation 5. It's sort of if you wouldn't need the game, you wouldn't even need to buy a game. I
understand the point of view, but I also think that I don't care so much about graphics, but just I completely see your point. But to be devil's advocate, I mean, unless you don't have a PS4 or you didn't have one this generation, do you really want to spend £500 on a console unnecessarily if you're mainly going to be playing PS4 games? Because I know that those are going to be the games. Like Dan says, he's going to tear through Demon Souls. I don't doubt that for 1 second. The man is a beast with Soulsborne games. And I know, okay, Miles Morales probably going to be a shorter game, because the first Spider-Man game, I tore through it, thought it was excellent. And then after that, it's I'm just one of those, I just want to give it time and just give the PS4 a gracious kind of year before retirement. Just let it showcase the best games I haven't played yet, and then I'm going to close it in its box and send it off in a Valhalla-style kind of funeral ceremony with the bow and arrow, and just say farewell.
Joel, have you changed your opinion, or are you still the same?
I'm a bit mixed. Mainly because a lot of people that I know are getting the PS5, and then that makes me want to get the PS5 now. And then I kind of went to Amazon and said, I'll pre-order it, and then Amazon said, currently unavailable. So it kind of makes me want to get it more, but then at the same time, I'll just pretend that I didn't see the currently unavailable, and I'll just tell my friends, what I keep saying is I'll just wait. I'll just wait a year. Same as what Nathan said. I'll just wait because, first few batch of consoles usually have their problems.
Yeah.
Usually have to send them back.
I identify that I pretty much had FOMO for wanting a PlayStation 5, and I was like, I have fear of missing out. And now I've identified that, and now I've realised that I've overcame it. I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 5 at launch. Probably for the similar stuff as you, Nathan. I actually don't think the PlayStation 4 needed an upgrade yet. I know it's a 7-year cycle, but The Last of Us Part 2 is a PlayStation 5 game, and that showed us. Yes, the PlayStation 4 sounds like it is going to explode when you play it, but that does show the capability of the PlayStation 4, Ghost of Tsushima, and I feel like if you could have got another year out of it, and I just think I've got such a big backlog of games and money as well. I'm about to buy a PC, so I'm going to spend a lot of money on changing.
No, it's classic console generation syndrome, as I'm going to dub it.
Trademark.
It's always the last year. It's always the last year. Remember PS2, it was, God of War 2 came in its final year. PS3 was Bioshock Infinite, The First Last of Us, Grand Theft Auto 5. And this generation looks like it's going to be Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
And it's always the last year of a console that it feels like the developers just really have the knowledge of how to get the best out of it. So historically that's always been the case. The strongest games and the most graphically impressive always come just in the last 9 months of a console's life, and then it makes the leap. So it would be interesting to see what other, how far could they possibly push it. I don't think you can go further than The Last of Us Part 2, because it sounds like my console is, I'm going to have to perform CPR on it at some points, But it is a good point, another year maybe would have been interesting to see. But at the end of the day, 7 years is...
We'll see. We'll see how it does with Cyberpunk, I think.
Yeah. That's very good.
Because Cyberpunk is...
God, I forgot that game existed.
Yeah. So when that comes out next month, I think it is, we'll see how the PS4 handles it.
That could be the deciding factor.
Because I think Cyberpunk's coming out for PS5 not till next year now, I think, is what they were saying. But the people who have it on PS4 will have a free port to the PS5 or something. So essentially it's coming out for this generation. And then you're going to have a port for the next generation. But I'm interested to see how, especially the first, if you guys still have the first PS4, the one with the shiny back. I'm curious.
The second model.
No, the first ever model that came out.
Yeah,
okay.
my day one's still going.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
yours
so I'm
day
interested. I'm interested to see how they're going to perform because, like you said, when I played Red Dead Redemption 2 on my Pro, it felt like it was going to take off.
Honestly, mine is.
So I can only imagine on the original ones what it's like.
Yeah. Like my Pro, when I've been playing Avengers, Last of Us, and Red Dead, honestly, it is so loud. I have to play with headphones. Like I've got the volume on my TV up so loud, and you still can't even hear it. It's bad. But I think that's the fans though, and it's not necessarily if they had a better thermal paste on and a better fan, the game would be quieter. So maybe that's a design.
I've not had my Pro for that long. I've had it for
Same. I bought mine last year. No,
2018. So it shouldn't.
2 years.
So the pace should be fresh from the factory. So.
That's true.
We'll see.
Fresh
I've
from the
heard
factory.
people saying like they've gotten quite a lot of benefit out of like doing like a fresh, really good quality thermal paste
I've
job
heard that as well.
on it. Yeah, I think they're probably maybe they skimp a little bit on it. It's enough, but maybe not perfect.
I think that's probably true. But I think we'll wrap most of this up. I want to talk about one more topic. And it's only because it keeps coming back. It was like, visions.
was that the thing you said at the beginning?
No, this is just something else. My brain just doesn't keep up with what's going on. And that is Red Dead 2. Let's talk about Red Dead 2, because we all talk about it. So, Joe's platinumed it. I've looked at your account, Nathan, and you're very close, like 87%. What's the crack with that?
Well, it's the gold stars. And the fact you get a silver trophy for a trophy with the word gold in it.
Just slap in the face.
Something that, it is just kind of a...
It's more than that, to be fair.
Like, it's mainly just a case of the way I tackle big games like that. I feel like the way I kind of hunt trophies, I can't force myself to like play through it. Like just if I'm not enjoying it. It's why it took me 5 years to platinum Far Cry 2.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a side project. I always kind of treat it like that. It's like if I feel the need or kind of the impulse, I'll go maybe try to get 1 or 2 gold stars and then just leave it. So like the 100%, I was kind of like that, where I just maybe fulfilled one criteria and just kind of finish it. Then I eventually got it, and then it kind of felt like okay, I'm very close. The 100%, that was like kind of a real long grind. And then I think I worked at like maybe 10 or 12 of the gold stars. And then it just I just lost the desire. So I think it's the gold stars. I think I've 30 of them.
Getting there.
And getting there slowly. I hate the way you need to do it all in one go, though. Unlike the Ballad of Gay Tony in GTA 4, when they first introduced that kind of medal system into their games. Yeah. The fact that you could like cherry pick one goal and go for that, and then like it would be kind of retroactively ticked, so you don't need to do all of them in one.
Yeah.
Because I just hate that kind of like wasted time where like if you fail one criteria, all of them are kind of null and void. It is kind of like, okay, fine, need to do it again. So it's that and the level 50, and I think the All's Fair trophy, which is actually one of the most common trophies in the game. I still don't have that.
All is fair.
It's where you like interrupt like a mission in the online.
Oh,
so I still don't.
Yeah.
I've got all the horses and stuff. It's literally just like level 50 in that. So I think I'm like level 38 in the online. I actually was playing it last night, just doing the collector role.
It's the way to go.
I got that trophy by accident. I was just messing around online and I actually got that trophy. If you want, I'll install Red Dead Redemption 2 and I'll start a mission and then you can just interrupt it and you can get it done.
I've got it installed.
You can murder me, Rod. Just go over it. No, I appreciate that because I don't know how I didn't get that naturally, because when I first started playing it, I was just messing around with friends and just kind of like, and it just never happened.
Also, with the gold stars, can you choose your weapons now? Do you use the weapons you have in game?
You can.
I heard
that. They patched the game, I think, in October last year, November. Like, don't quote me on that. But I definitely think it's easier than it was, or at least not as time consuming, because now you can fast travel from your camp, or your campfire, and I believe that wasn't in it before. So like if I find like one of the exotic flowers, or if I hunted one of the animals, I just set up camp and then just fast travel back to like another point of the map, instead of having to go to the fast travel posts or one of the carriages. So like that saves a lot of time.
I should have waited.
You should have, mate.
Yeah,
I should have waited.
Yeah, so
You know.
that cuts off a lot of the fluff, to be fair.
Oh, God.
And I think as soon as that patch went live, I could kind of see that like the 100% was like a 0.1 or a 0.2. I think it's like a 0.4 or 0.5 now. I think it's definitely a bit more obtainable than it was.
The time,
But yeah,
the time I platinum Red Dead Redemption 2, the platinum percentage was 0.01%.
Wow.
And I think now when we did that question for the podcast, it was on like 2.52%.
Yeah.
And I was so angry.
yeah,
I took-
justifiably so. But it doesn't take away from your accomplishment, man. You know, well done. Dan has the plat as well.
Well done. That was beginning my next question.
Yeah.
How do you find the experience,
Yeah,
Dan?
It was pretty much all I played from release day until March or something.
I've been waiting for you for so long. I've been trying to get a Lewis to platinum it so I can just pour my
Bare your soul.
yeah, just share this pain with someone to know what it's like.
It was definitely the not so much the gold stars. Like I found that okay because what I ended up doing was I tried to do them by replaying the missions, but it kept giving you like one go a Deadeye or something, and then you just be
Yeah, they changed that in
gone.
the patch as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention that you get
you got your stuff.
more items that are in relation to kind of where you are in the game.
Yeah,
What I
So
did
that's
was
easier as well.
I started a completely fresh new game, and I just
That's a good choice.
saved before every mission until I golded it, and then continued on. And it actually, I had all the gold medals by like maybe the kind of 3/4 way point through the game, so it wasn't too bad. But it was just the collecting things, getting all those challenges done. That was arduous.
That's putting me off.
That was really tough.
Yeah.
And the 0.5% you get for collecting all the exotics? That was worth 0.5 towards the 100%.
That is
So I thought that
horrendous.
was the biggest slap in the face because I like before I started it was at like 99%. I'm like, okay, this should be the 100%. It was like 99.5. I'm like, what?
is that the animals?
Yeah.
Especially that panther. The panther, I think, was the hardest one for me to find. It just would not spawn for me, and it spawns in like only one specific place, which is like south of the map, in one like tree area, which is tiny. And then
I know.
it spawned for me 3 times.
I
all
remember
3
it too,
times. I didn't see it,
No,
and my
remember
horse
when I
just
was-
left.
I'm just
and
like,
I
what are you
died.
talking about?
No, it spawned instantly for me.
Oh,
But
man.
it killed me because it spawned behind me,
Yeah.
and I heard, it's a bit of a temperamental spawn.
Yeah.
But of course, first time going there, it sneaks up and just mauls me, and then it took another 3 hours to find it. I'm there. Where is that bastard?
It's
He won't
rough.
get me this time.
It is rough.
It is rough, man.
So
I
Lewis,
didn't
you
even
need to get
realize
it.
panthers were there. I always thought panthers were like the jungle or something. I was like,
I did.
Why are they
I
in Red
did.
Dead?
yeah, I
Why
it's
is there
boggled
panthers
my
in
mind.
Mexico?
So I think like the panther's like it's a rare. You know, you got the cougars.
Yeah.
So the panther's like the rare version or the ultra rare version of the cougar. It's just instead of like calling it an ultra rare cougar, they just called it a panther.
Shiny cougar.
And I
make
think
it sound
they changed it
cooler.
to like black or something. It's like a black panther or something.
Make
Yeah,
it so much
just
good.
make it cooler. Yeah, but I'll get the plat eventually.
I might too, at some point.
You will. You have to.
Eventually, but-
You have to now.
When I got my platinum, I remember I left the online portion till the end, and my platinum screenshot is someone killing me online, and it's a girl's name, and it's like, you know, Flower Sunshine or something that you were killed by, and I was like, oh, that sums up, you know, getting killed by a girl, you know, after maybe 300, 400 hours playing this
Yeah.
game makes a lot of sense.
I think if I finished that game, I would just literally like pause it and just walk out in the rain for like 5 hours, like cleanse my soul.
It's just a relief, I think, because you spend
me and
so
Nathan-
long to get it. I think it's just a relief when you finally do. I'll be honest. When I finally did, like usually I like, you know, when I platinum like Dark Souls or when I platinum like Sekiro, I did like a mini dance of victory. With Red Dead, it was just like a relief. I never
like the end of a prison
yeah,
sentence.
I never have to touch this game again. But now I do because I'm going to help you get the that trophy.
When I get it like a platinum like that, sometimes I'm just like, you know, it pops up on the screen and I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's like, load up the next game.
No emotion at all.
No
250 hours later, it's like, yeah, that's done. Next thing. What's next?
I think when you get to that point is when you know you've platinumed a lot of games.
Yeah.
Because if you remember in the beginning of like when you platinum, like I'd say your first like 25, you just like every time you reach a platinum, you're like, oh yeah, let's get another one. And just now it's just like, yeah, okay.
Move on.
No, I think there were
Next.
2 platinums that I did kind of almost like the worm when I got them, and that was Fight Knife Round 4
Wow.
and Max Payne 3. When I got those 2 platinums, I kind of, especially Fight Night 4, because I was in Galway, Dan, and you probably remember, it was like, I was on like the EA forums going, who the hell would like implement such a trophy? This is ridiculous.
Venting
And then
online.
I organized a fight with like one of the champions, and I like a real fight to then have the honor of fighting in the game. And I remember like when I won the fight and got like the first title online, I'm like, oh yes,
Just
like
crying.
you know, like just crying. And then like that's a whole other story. But like sometimes some games still get like when I played Bloodborne, I was kind of like, all right, like because that was like my first kind of proper step into Soulsborne. I'm like, yeah, that was pretty sweet.
I tell you what, I celebrated more when I killed a cursed amygdala than I did actually platinum the game. That was my biggest wall, amygdala, in the defiled dungeon. I hated amygdala. I think it took me like 7 hours straight of just dying and dying and dying, and it was always that jump. I could never get the timing of that jump, and it was always a one shot every single time.
Why do we do what we do?
Why do we do it to ourselves? I recently platinumed Marvel's Avengers. I remember, like, I feel like I probably had a similar experience to how Dan would have felt when he finished Red Dead 2. I literally played it. Actually, no, I didn't. I wouldn't have, because although it was a grind, it was also a terrible game. I remember playing this game, and I just felt like I felt relieved, but just so angry that I'd played this game for like 120 hours. I just felt like.
Did you have to wash it off yourself?
I just felt
like,
dirty. I did. I just felt like. I was like. It was a relief, but I was like, why have I just tortured myself for an hour and a half with this total trash?
We don't
I
have
avoided
to.
that game.
I believe that. So we don't have to. You tortured yourself. You're a hero.
That's true. No one else has to play Marvel's Avengers. Seriously, no one out of these 3 people or who's watching this play Marvel's Avengers unless it gets patched or gets made better. Just don't do it yourself. You'll save.
PlatinumBro suffers for his art.
Exactly.
All right, suffers for his art.
On that note, I think we'll wrap things up. I think it's been quite a long podcast, but it's been a pleasure to have the 2 of you on, and you as well, Joel, of course. What we'll do is
It's been a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it was great.
I'll put the links for everyone's social media, for Platchums' YouTube channel. If you guys want to go check them out, I encourage you to do so. It is a really good channel. As you can tell, they're quite chatty guys who've got some pretty good banter, so it's just the channel's just full of that, so I highly recommend it. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and take it easy.
Bye-bye.
What a terrible wave that was. Should I go with a more Queen-like wave, maybe?